Good morning.
What's up?
You got some background noise going.
Me? Yeah.
It, it happens.
Yeah, I
Day
don't know.
4.
Day 4.
How's it going? You having fun with the space?
Yes. I not when there's people mowing the lawn outside, but yes, I
It
am.
ha-
It's
it happens. We do it too.
it's fun. It's Yesterday was fun, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, the good days are the good days. Like it's exciting, and it used to be like every day was as chaotic as yesterday was. And now it's cooled off a little bit, right? Like today we're gonna see a bit of a quieter, I think, day. But it felt like yesterday was just a full day of like crazy mints from the NBA, which we'll talk a little bit more about, to Snoop, to kind of everything that's been going on with the Moonbirds. But I also sold the Clone X yesterday. I think I want to start there and share with everybody kind of I did something crazy, and I always try to tell everyone, like, when you can, realize gains. And so for me, I had the opportunity to realize some gains, and I had to make the decision, right? Because I'm not going to sell my Bored Ape, and I've been lucky enough to I minted Clone X, I minted Moonbirds, and I minted Azuki. And for me, all three of those projects are really awesome, but I didn't, you know, I don't want to look back a year from now and say, okay, these are all great pieces of art, but I don't have time to be in all the communities. And so I had to pick one that I thought um, would be one that, I spend less time on. And when I look at the potential long-term upside after and I could be dead wrong, right? Not financial advice, but when you think about, Artifact getting acquired by Nike, and you think I still have my monolith and those things, I think short term, CloneX has the highest potential to drop. And so I just said to myself, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of profit, and then I'm trying to practice what I preach, is that, if you come for the PFPs, stick around for the art. And everyone knows, it's not a secret to anybody, but Christian, No Creative Abode, is just a phenomenal artist, one of my favorite artists of all time, period, the end. He created us a custom NFT culture piece that's owned by NFT Culture, but I just have become such a fan of his that, this piece has been on sale and on Super Rare for some time as a one of one. And I just said, you know what, I had a really good day. I'm going to buy a piece of his work, and I'm thankful I did. And it's candidly, we did feature this piece at the TED Talk NFT pop up gallery in Vancouver. It was curated by Ashley and a friend of ours named Wago. His name's also Ted, so Ted at TED. But for and we're gonna do a video with her talking all about the experience that she had at the TED Talks, at TED Conference with
Yeah.
JR and everything else. But for me, I just said, you know what, I took some profit. I'm gonna buy a one of one piece of art, and I'm never going to look back. He's actually flying to New York for NFT NYC. He's hopefully going to attend our event for our token holders. So if you own a token, you're going to be able to meet some awesome artists. But he's actually going to bring a signed print, and my wife and I are just ecstatic that we're going to be able to frame this print, and we're going to be able to put it up in one of the rooms in our house. It's going to fit perfectly, just with the coloring and everything else. So I'm stoked
I
about that.
think we should record it, like just the interaction. Be like, here you go. And hopefully I'd cry, but I cry at almost everything. So
The fanboy in me, and I'm thankful. And I think, like, everyone's worried about, like, when this phase is going to end. But I always say, like, if you love art and artists, like, support art you love, and never look back. And for me, like, having this NFT and also getting the physical, I used to be a maxi where it's like only the NFT matters, but like with Rafik Anadol and all these others giving physicals, it's actually really cool to get both. And so I'm having a lot of fun with it.
I love it. Like, I remember, a couple weeks ago, just looking at all of his. I love it. he knows it. I love everything about it. But I like the art. I think the art is, I don't know, if you can tell a story that only I can understand, because my experience looking at it is going to be different than your experience looking at it. And so that's what I love so much about pieces like that. Where you're just like, oh, oh. And I feel calm looking at it. It's not.
Yeah, he's a magician with the lighting, and clearly I know nothing about ballerinas or ballet other than my cousin was in ballet. My wife wasn't. I think she danced when she was younger, but she was more into volleyball and kicking butts. But sometimes she'll do. I don't even know what it's called. But sometimes she'll just run around the house and do the pirouette or whatever it's called. And so it'll be fun. I love the art. I love the piece. It's beautiful.
I'm so
But
excited for you. So
yeah,
excited.
hell yeah, it's awesome. I was playing around this morning in my metaverse on Cyber, trying to figure out where to put it. But yeah, so the other big news is these moonbirds. These moonbirds are just continuing to soar. And I want to give a shout out to Trey, the founder of the Red Bean DAO, which I was lucky enough to be a part of. He's also a member of the Underground. So shout out to the Underground gang. If any of y'all are watching, shout out to Nevin's Underground as well. But yeah, he had this Moonbird, and he was asleep, and we were all texting him really early this morning because he sold it 3 hours ago for 175 ETH. And so when you think about that, really, really happy for you. It's just insane to see that these types of buys are happening right now with Moonbirds. And when you think about kind of what that means for the market, when these types of buys start happening with regularity, people instead of flipping the bottom, they're trying to find the rares. That usually means that things are about to run. And even now when you look at the last 24 hours, obviously 7 days, obviously last 30 days, the top project by about 40,000 Ethereum in volume, so almost double Azuki in the last 30 days, and this project is like a week old at this point. But when you look at it all time, it's flying so much. It's going to be a top 10 project if it continues this momentum. I was wrong before because once it gets to that price that it can't be traded as easily, and it's at basically 30 ETH now, it will slow down. But the other thing that's really interesting for me is, yeah, this is going to be a top 10 project all time very quickly, but the distribution, there's 6,500 owners, so it's actually past Bored Ape Yacht Club in terms of individual wallets that own this. So Moonbirds are flying. This is definitely. I threw a joke out this morning on Twitter. Is there a future where Moonbirds are the number one project, Bored Ape Yacht Club is number two, and Punks fall to three? I don't think so, but it could happen. So if anyone's watching this after the fact, leave some comments. Let us know what your thoughts
I
are.
mean, I think it could be. Just we didn't expect it to literally soar um, to where it is. And like the comment about like the diversity and like how many owners it has, I think that's going to play a huge part in continuing this journey for them. I don't I don't see them stopping. The little skull. But again,
Yeah,
I'm
I agree.
I'm not even crawling. So
I mean, that's the thing I keep telling everyone is keep looking forward, never look back. Right?
mhm.
There's going to be another Moonbirds. Everyone said that it was going to stop with Bored Ape Yacht Club, and then all these other projects had their time in the sun. None of them caught Bored Ape Yacht Club, but Doodles, Suzuki, Cool Cats for a period of time. But it's just been really really fun and really interesting. Before we get to the alpha, I do want to make a comment, and this probably isn't going to be popular with everybody, but I do think it's important to comment. Is that yesterday with the Coinbase NFT launch, some domain squatters, as you could call them, when you're able to claim your username, some folks went in quick and early to claim some usernames. and someone claimed Farouk's username, and instead of handling it privately, and this has happened throughout the history of Web 2 and Web 3, and this is just ugly for Web 3, is like, some things, especially if you're preaching positivity, and I'm a big admirer of Farouk, and I know none of us are perfect, and I've critiqued people like Pack in the past, and so I shouldn't be throwing stones. But when you do represent, the positivity of this culture, I think that some of the dirty laundry doesn't need to be aired out, and calling out people in the way we do sometimes just isn't healthy. It's not constructive. Just don't want us to become hypocritical when we say we're all going to make it, and then we're shading each other publicly. I think some of this could be handled privately. So, and this is what happens when the markets start to mature and ego gets involved. It starts looking bad, but there's definitely the way to handle things. And I hope everyone learned some lessons from it. But it's just frustrating to see some of this negativity like starting to consistently come in the space.
I mean, it's disappointing for, the space to be such a positive and like inclusive and inviting, and then you just see that. Not it. Ego's the enemy, right?
Ego is the enemy. Fantastic book. I recommend everyone take a look at it. So yeah, let's get to the drops, and then we'll end talking for a minute about kind of how the NBA got looped. But briefly, I'm not really excited about today's drops. The Guido, who's a fantastic photographer on Super Rare, 30 ETH floor. Kind of following what Drift did, Guido is releasing a free NFT at 12 p.m. Central or Eastern. So in 2.5 hours, it's going to be 10K, 3 per wallet, free to mint. Just given that this is an artist with a big following, I think it will have, for being a free mint, it's definitely going to be worth trying to pick up. The other drops of the day, I'm just a little bit less excited about. And it's once again, it's like when there is a big project that drops, like yesterday's projects, it's hard to get excited. And I'm not trying to be negative about any of these. The memes or memes pre-sale, this one does look a little bit interesting to me. You can see this on NFTCulture.com. And then other than that, the Tamagotchi, just because I still love the idea of a Tamagotchi type game really doing well in the space. I'll be watching that, but I'll be asleep, so I won't be able to mint that one, and I'm not going to stay up for it.
8:30. Wait. Is that...
10.
Oh.
But I'll be asleep by 8:30 too.
It happens. I think out of all, like I told you, I like the Tamagotchi one. The way that they laid it out, like in their roadmap, the evolving pieces of it, I'm pretty fascinated about. I mean, reminds me of my childhood, just more sophisticated. So I'm definitely going to watch that one. And you can't tell me that they're not cute. On their Twitter, they had like an actual plush one. I'm like, oof, I need it. But yeah, I'm curious to see where this one goes. And then I got nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't know enough to know, if I'm missing the mark on something, which we'll talk about. But as far as things that I've looked towards, this one's probably my favorite of the day. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. And that's the cool thing is like we get to see the degen side, like the gamblers. For a while it was bet on everything. They all go up for a while and get out, but like you coming in fresh, you're gonna just have your own fresh perspective on this, and it's like pick the ones you like and kind of ignore the rest. But yeah, briefly, so there's not a lot of awesome projects. Briefly, I want to talk about the let me share this screen for a second. The volume, it's come back with abandon, right? So when we think about what the NFT space has looked like for the last couple weeks, it's been incredibly volatile. So, shout out to Dune Analytics and the Archin dashboard that everyone uses. But we're still well off our peak that we saw kind of as we were seeing January, February pump, and then the March cool off has been really, really interesting. And when you look at the parallels between what was happening last year on Nifty Gateway and here, I don't think it was nearly as bad of a cool off as people want to compare it to. But obviously, the Moonbirds just brought the market back, and a lot of this activity and a lot of this action is really around Moonbirds. So I don't think people should say the entire ecosystem is back, but you definitely can see that when a great project breaks through, it is going to bring the buyers back. It is going to bring the liquidity back. And you can see that today, this is based on UTC. So we are, 5 hours ahead here. So it looks like we are going to be a little bit cooler unless something crazy happens. But from a market health standpoint, I think this is really interesting. I also think it's really interesting that, this here was tax day, the day after everyone paid their taxes.
I was going to
We
say, I'm
see
like, so what are the lowest points on that the little graph there? Just correlation with big adult things
taxes hurt. Yeah. So, all right, briefly, let's talk. Everyone was asking about this MBA thing, right? Because I think it's important to talk about. And this is just some of the flaws of projects that happen regularly. So there's a lot of it's the cat and mouse type of game where anytime there's an innovation, anytime someone does anything interesting or cool, it likely gets exploited. And so the association launched yesterday. It's a free mint. At the time, it was also free secondary, so they weren't taking royalties. They've changed that now. They're taking 10% royalties. But what was really interesting about this project is that you had to be on the mint list. So you had to be in the Discord early to get on the mint list to be able to this ahead of time. The issue is that the hex data leaked, and so anyone who had the hex data could literally go into MetaMask, turn on advanced mode, and add the hex transaction, send 0 ETH to the contract, and as long as it had that hex data, they were able to claim a free NFT. And so by the time they caught on to this, like over half of the mint was already taken. And so they paused the contract briefly, but then they decided, like, F it, we're just going to open it back up. But by the time they did that, 2 other hex codes had already come out saying that you could mint 10 at a time or you could mint 100 at a time. And so what we saw was when they opened it up, a bunch of people were trying to buy it at the normal price because, and that caused gas to go to like 0.08 ETH. And then the price to mint at the time was 0.08 ETH. So that was a wash. Simultaneously, it wasn't an ERC 721A contract because they're doing some stuff behind the scenes, which meant it's not gas efficient, which means it's expensive to buy and to sell. And so basically all these people were just gambling to say, hey, we're just going to, very few people took a massive amount of the supply and then they were able to put it on market and kind of control the floor. And today, the floor on this is 0.4 ETH. So for instance, if you'd bought 10 and your cost average was 0.07 gas, right? So essentially your cost to buy 10 is 0.7 ETH. And then you have 10 at 0.4, right? So that's 4 ETH. You're making 3 ETH profit just by being early and being like paying attention in the Discord. And so a lot of people were able to make a lot of money yesterday off of this project being exploited. And that's one of the flaws that I think happens way too regularly is everyone says, why whitelists are bad and why you have to farm engagement and all of that stuff, and it's not fair. And then you have like, okay, do you have it be a gas war where everyone has to compete? And when you have these types of things, the more experienced traders, the alpha groups, and all of them are able to exploit this for their own gain. And so for a lot of people, they look at it as the rich get richer, and that's unfortunate.
I mean, I was watching this thing unfold and I was so confused. I had no idea what was happening. Um, and just watching, again, the disappointment in some people, like you could hear it in the tone in which they were all angry, caps on. Um, that wasn't fun to see, but I think everyone learned something yesterday, which are some of those important moments that I know I'll remember moving forward, being like, oh, well, there was this one time. Oh, I've seen this before. Oh, everyone read the fine print. I know it's not fun, but read it.
Yeah, I mean that's the piece of advice I have is if you miss it, don't look back. And I mean this is going to be really cool, especially for the ones. The reason that people are betting on this is that like if you get a great player, if you get the MVP, if you get someone who goes far, like it for some people it doesn't matter if it those NFTs are probably going to go to 10 ETH on their own. And so like hedging and buying a bunch of these, even when the cost was super low, people are it's buying 100 Pokemon packs for the rare Charizard is essentially the strategy that people took with this one. So
Yeah.
that's all I got for today. Anything else from you?
Um, no, I'm. I have my notepad ready to go to see all the crazy things that happened today. Um, and I've actually been going through the tweet that you'd sent out about artists and looking at all the responses. There's some. I love it. I love. Thanks to everyone who replied to Malachi's tweets and sending in your artwork. There's a couple of artists who I'm super excited about. But we can.
Yeah, I mean, you should reach out to them and we'll get them on stream, or we can do an interview on the website. I think that would be cool.
I'm here for it. So if you see Mighty Malls coming for you on your Twitter, hi, that's me.
Awesome. All right, everyone. See everyone tomorrow.
Bye.